We all want our kids to have the freedom to learn, to read and to write, instead of learning how to duck and cover in a classroom.
President Joe Biden touching down in Connecticut to talk gun safety.
The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act would not have made it even to first base without Joe Biden.
The commander-in-chief joining local leaders to call on Congress to do more to address gun violence in our country.
Plus, vandals target homes with pride flags in one community. Tonight, we're hearing resident reaction.
Some rain moving in off and on right into part of this weekend. We're going to talk about who gets the most coming up.
At the convention center, think cold thoughts. What better time for the Snow and Ice Symposium? I'm Jim Altman. We take you to downtown Hartford ahead on the Fox 61 News.
Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
The President of the United States paying a visit to Connecticut to speak at a gun safety summit, this marking his third stop in the state since taking office. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Jen Bernstein.
And I'm Ben Goldman. Hundreds of people at the University of Hartford today for the National Safer Communities Summit, where the president gave a keynote address.
Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc was inside of the Lincoln Theater on campus for the whole thing. She joins us now live from the University of Hartford with more. Julia.
Hi, good evening to you both. We were just feet away from the president as he went on for just over 30 minutes talking about a federal law passed last year to put a stop to gun violence in America. But even the president really wanted the spotlight to be on those in the audience, which were advocates, survivors of gun violence, and their families.
We all want our kids to have the freedom to learn, to read and to write, instead of learning how to duck and cover in a classroom.
The President of the United States taking a stand against gun violence while standing with Connecticut neighbors in West Hartford.
For those who say they're concerned about crime, you can't deal with crime without dealing with gun violence. It's a simple proposition.
President Biden paying a visit for the National Safer Community Summit, joined by gun safety advocates from across Connecticut and the country. The room full of triumph and toughness.
We are at the crossroads. We can let the shooting continue, or we can act.
And silence.
In honor of those whose lives ended by gun violence, will you join me in a short moment of silence?
But after that silence, the room growing loud with calls for action from mass shooting survivors.
To stand up and join our fight so we can pass sensible solutions. And if not, get out of our way.
That fight pushing the feds to take a stand, passing a sweeping gun reform bill last June. It's dubbed as one of the most significant gun control bills on the federal level in 3 decades.
Last year, this month, Congress passed the first major gun safety bill in 30 years, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act.
The federal act taking center stage. Among many other things, the bill calls for stronger background checks for young people and creates a waiting period for them, enhances red flag laws, makes gun trafficking a federal crime, and takes away guns from convicted domestic abusers. But even with this multi-billion-dollar deal, investing in mental health and more, many feel the federal fight is far from over.
Never bow, never bend, never yield, never kneel. We never will on this issue. Never, never.
Now, the entire summit here lasted about 6 hours. It featured a few panels as well. Now, from here, the president made his way to Greenwich for a campaign fundraiser. We're live here in West Hartford tonight. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Julia, thank you very much. Well, protesters made their voices heard outside of the University of Hartford as the president made his way in.
President Biden highlighting Connecticut's passage of a bill tightening gun laws at a national gun safety summit, as you heard. But GOP leaders and gun right advocates say the presidential visit is all for optics. Fox 61's Samaya Hernandez joining us live in Hartford. Samaya, what's the reaction you're hearing tonight?
Well, Ben and Jen, mixed reaction, but many here not pleased about this visit. Now, I did catch up with the GOP chairman, and he says that if this is about saving lives, they should have taken that message over a mile away from here into the north end of Hartford.
This is not a Bill of Rights, it's a bill of BS to these people.
On the heels of Governor Ned Lamont signing his signature gun bill into law, a presidential visit to the Nutmeg State. Before President Joe Biden's motorcade left Bradley Airport, about a dozen protesters carrying American Trump 2024 and Don't Tread on Me flags, expressing outrage against Connecticut's weeks-old new gun law that builds on laws passed in the wake of the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School, most notably banning the right to open carry. Former West Hartford City Councilor Joe Visconti says open carry is necessary for protection in Connecticut's capital city.
People are being preyed on in the inner cities. They're not safe down there. And so I'll put it on my hip with my holster and my nails and stuff, and if they're a criminal, they're not going to come near me, my truck.
Earlier this week, a capital city clerk reportedly shot a would-be robber in self-defense, leaving a suspect in critical condition. Visconti pointing to that incident on Tuesday as one of several reasons he wants the new law challenged constitutionally.
Criminals don't carry guns. Criminals don't telegraph that they're going to commit crimes. This law is against law-abiding citizens.
President Biden gathered with families of mass shooting victims at the University of Hartford for the Safer Communities Summit. But Connecticut GOP leaders say his visit does nothing to address ongoing gun violence in Connecticut's inner cities.
It's simply about optics and to try to make people feel good. It's not going to do one thing to solve the problem that we see in Hartford and around the state and around this country.
In a prepared statement, Connecticut Citizen Defense League says gun control advocates have now coined themselves as gun safety advocates. Responsible firearm owners lawfully possess and use guns daily. Many are instructors or volunteers at their local sportsmen's clubs and ranges. These are individuals who are true gun safety advocates, not those who have little firsthand experience with a firearm. And the president's motorcade making it to campus today around 2 o'clock for his speech, successfully navigating around those protesters. We're live in West Hartford. I'm Samaya Hernandez, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Samaya. We've got the president's remarks right now on fox61.com and on the Fox 61 app. Stay tuned tonight for the news at 10 and 11 for much more coverage of President Biden's visit to Connecticut. Well, new tonight, Hartford police are investigating a hit and run that left one man dead. Police are now asking the public for help in finding the driver involved in this. Fox 61's Jake Garcia joining us live from the scene with the latest on the investigation. Jake.
Well, Ben, Hartford police say they were called to the area just after 11 o'clock this morning at the area of Edward Street and Albany Avenue on reports of a vehicle hitting a pedestrian. When officers arrived on scene, they found 49-year-old Jose Concepcion of New Britain injured in the road. He was taken to a local hospital where he died from his injuries. This all happening just feet from the Global Communications Academy and a Citgo gas station. Hartford police discovered the car involved in the crash, left the scene, and are now asking the public for help in finding the driver involved. Take a look at this picture. This is the car that they are looking for. It is a black Infiniti with a shattered windshield and a dented hood. The car has Connecticut plates with the license number of BF 54937. Now, this investigation is still active and ongoing. If you've seen that car or have any information on this crash, you're asked to call Hartford Police. Live in Hartford, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Jake, thank you very much. Turning to the weather now, rain for the start of the weekend.
Yeah, moving its way into Connecticut and out. The radar looks like. Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now. Hi, Rach.
Yeah, we have one batch of showers coming through, a break in the action for a little while, but more showers off and on right through your Saturday. It's not a total washout though. So New London up through Ledyard, Norwich, all seeing some rain right now. We're still seeing it from Plainfield up through Killingly, but a lot of the state is probably wondering, okay, what about in my neighborhood after the rain pushes out? There's a lot of baseball games that are going on tonight, and those should be okay. Again, there will be a few additional showers that rotate through, but I think there will be a significant break in the action. Meantime, look at all of these thunderstorms to the south of us, causing severe weather in eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey during the day today. But they totally missed us, so no severe weather here at home. And we will see again scattered showers for your Saturday, but it looks like we will see some improvement for the second half of the weekend on Sunday for sure. Right now we're looking at temperatures in the 60s, close to 70 degrees for Windsor Locks. Here's a look at the future radar. There's that break, 7, 8 o'clock, but overnight as we sleep, we could see some of those heavier downpours fill back in again, but they'll be hit or miss. So it's kind of like rain roulette for tonight into tomorrow. Some towns could pick up over an inch of rain, and others could see less than a quarter of an inch and really not get all that much heading into your Saturday. So I think your opinion of the day tomorrow will depend really on where you live. Heading through the next 12 hours, we'll see temperatures falling back to the 60-degree mark. Tomorrow, a few occasional showers, a rumble of thunder, but in between, there may be much of the time that's dry. Highs in the 60s to near 70, and improvement for Father's Day. Your forecast coming up.
Rachel, thank you. New details tonight about a fatal crash in Waterbury. Police identifying the victim as Sandra Sanga Pagwe. She was involved in a crash on Tuesday on Lakewood Avenue involving a car and a box truck. The other driver in the crash had non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still investigating what led up to that crash. Also new details tonight. The Office of the Inspector General has released its report on an officer-involved shooting in Torrington. Back in March, officers responded to a home on Tioga Street for a welfare check. When officers arrived, they found a man with a knife in his hand who began yelling and swearing at officers. Body camera footage shows officers telling the man to drop the knife, but he does not, and he continues advancing toward officers. That's when video shows one of the officers shooting the man. The Inspector General ruled the officer was justified in the use of deadly force in this case.
A former Southington theater director in court this morning. 45-year-old Daniel Checovettis facing sexual assault charges. He's accused of having inappropriate contact with multiple children from 2008 to 2016. The accusation was made in 2017. Checovettis also facing a civil lawsuit filed in 2019.
This is what they've wanted all along. I mean, it validates their experiences and what they've had to endure by Mr. Checovettis. I mean, their whole thing and what they've said from the beginning is that they just don't want this individual to have access to minors, and they want everybody to know about what they had gone through.
Checovettis was working as a theater director and lighting supervisor at the time of the assaults when the victims were 14, 16, and 17 years old. He's due back in court in August.
Newington police have arrested a man on 38 counts of theft of a firearm after a burglary at a gun store. Police say Fitzpatrick Duffney was involved in the burglary at the center that happened back in May 27th, rather. Police say dozens of guns and cash were stolen during the burglary. Duffney is being held on $250,000 bond.